Sheath the deep
No, it's a hair dryer.
It comes
You
down.
put the deep conditioning cream on it, and you sit under the dryer so it penetrates
Oh, I
your
see.
Then
hair.
I
I'm
was
going.
like,
And you can
is that
speak
how
to
my dad
aliens,
lost
right?
his
I was
hair?
gonna mention that. They had aluminum foil and everything.
Right, after they get the perms to go.
Okay.
I'm sure guys
Yeah.
watch
Yeah.
what some of us
Yeah.
do at a
No.
hairdresser. They
Oh,
go,
I'll be in there.
Yeah.
All right.
K-Dog.
We're recording.
Okay, so we've managed to get through 4 spiritual gifts.
That's
And we can't. Did we do 5?
We did administration.
Oh, we did administration.
There we
So 5. So we can't blame it on Seth, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's 2 weeks and I'm been gone.
So number 6, which is
Discernment.
who is discerning?
Concerning?
Discerning.
I have to go to
That's your number 1.
Let me go to mine.
Wow, that is.
Now, see,
It-
I redid it, everybody, and it was wrong before.
Okay, so discernment and what?
Discernment is number 1.
Okay.
And then the seconds are wisdom and exhortation, and the third is administration.
Okay.
Alright, so say that all. So discernment is number 1.
And then the
It's like-
seconds I tied for wisdom and exhortation.
Wisdom, expectation.
So is discernment like a human lie detector?
And then
I've been lying to my
administration.
whole life, so I think
Be a
You've been
brother.
practiced in that.
Are there any choices in there that may have contributed?
So the,
I think a Bible's about to fly across this table.
she's learned a lot about discernment and wisdom.
Yeah. So discernment, wisdom, expectation.
Yeah.
yeah, and then exhortation.
So, Desiree, would you read the definition of discernment and give us the verse, please?
Without looking, just discerning.
Yeah.
The gift of discernment is the distinctive ability to perceive whether a person's actions originate from godly, satanic, or merely human sources.
Okay.
And then Matthew 16:21 through 23.
Mhm.
Matthew 16, 20.
I have it in time. Look at this.
She's got someone else's packet.
Nice and loud.
I can't really talk that quick now. From that time, Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed, and on that third day be raised. And Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, "Far be it from you, Lord, this shall never happen to you." But he turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan, you are a hindrance to me, for you are not setting your mind on the things of God, but on the things of man."
Well, wow, that sounds like the opposite of discernment.
No, Jesus had discernment.
Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus
Peter
had
poorly discerned, Jesus rightly discerned.
Yeah, that's right.
The Acts, I'll read the Acts 16 one, because that's Paul and Silas, which is an interesting one. It says once, Acts 16 verses 16 through 18. Once when we were going to the place of prayer, we were met by a female slave who had a spirit by which she predicted the future. She earned a great deal of money for her owners by fortune telling. She followed Paul and the rest of us, shouting, "These men are servants of the Most High God, who are telling you the way to be saved." She kept us up for many days. Finally, Paul became so annoyed that he turned around and said to the spirit, "In the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to come out of her." And at that moment, the spirit left her.
Wow.
Okay, and in my personal notes, I have 1 Corinthians 12:10, which says distinguishing between spirits. So, is the appropriate, I mean, there's other stuff in there, but. Okay,
I've got 1 John 4, test the spirits. Dear friends, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world. This is how you can recognize the Spirit of God. every spirit that acknowledges that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is from God, but every spirit that does not acknowledge Jesus is not from God. This is the spirit of the Antichrist, which you have heard is coming, and even now is already in the world. You, dear children, are from God and have overcome them, because the one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world. They are from the world, and therefore speak from the viewpoint of the world, and the world listens to them. We are from God, and whoever knows God listens to us, but whoever is not from God does not listen to us. This is how we recognize the spirit of truth and the spirit of falsehood.
So how might Desiree exercise her spirit of discernment? Her gift of discernment, sorry. Could be a spirit too, but anyway.
When Ananias and Sapphira come in and they lie to her, she points it out and they die on the spot.
They're lying and then they die.
Wow.
Yeah.
I used to call her to take care of my legwork.
Yes, ma'am.
Powerful gift.
You pull on people's ears and tell them that they're being dumb.
Yeah, you pulled me out of the rut once or twice.
That's that gift of exhortation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being
I
dumb.
think it's I think it's helpful, that aspect of godly satanic or merely human, because sometimes it's like it's not that we all can't have this at times, but it's helpful to have people where it's like, hey, I have this situation, or I have this opportunity, or all these things. Is this of me? Is this of the Lord? Is this like Satan trying to throw me off? And being able to help someone process what might be the case.
That's right. I'd say you are pretty good at this.
Yeah. Wait, so like counselor?
That would be part of it, part of counseling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to listen, because like Seth said, you're gonna hear feelings and you're gonna hear situations and you're gonna hear past wounds and even their worldview and where are they getting their advice from, and cutting through all that to discern what the real problem is. It's not always what people say. You kind of have to read between the lines.
Yeah.
And so having discernment would help you with counseling, but you have to listen first.
Yeah, because like when I had a counseling class, sometimes we think it's telling everyone advice, and most of counseling is
Just
actually listening and kind of being like, so I feel like I'm hearing you say this. You say whatever they might have said. They're like, yeah, and then they just keep going, and but you're
Gets them open up.
processing what is being said. How might this apply? Parents, we have a naturally discern. Is my child lying to me? Is this
every
true?
parent knows that.
I find it interesting that, because we've talked about all the gifts that God calls us to use, all the gifts at some point, but because in Philippians, Paul says, and this is my prayer, that your love, all the saints, that your love may abound more and more in knowledge and depth of insight, so that you may be able to discern what is best and may be pure and blameless for the day of Christ. So we're all called at some level, but there are some people that, like, people will naturally drift towards her, and they know she's going to be direct. If they don't want an answer, they're not going
Whether you like it or
to.
not.
Like, yeah, does that seem right? Yeah.
Nailed it.
Thanks. Discernment is somewhat related to wisdom. But, I think it's not just knowing the right thing in any given situation, but I think there is this element here of, this is spiritual. Being able to sense, okay, what is the spirit? One passage, the spirit of Antichrist is, there are spirits.
Yeah.
And being able to be sensitive to the spirits that are out there, and which goes beyond just, having wise counsel or good listening skills. There's a depth of spirituality here that goes with that.
Yeah. There's even that aspect of, we sometimes refer to the gut feeling.
I was just gonna spidey sense or something.
Yeah.
I don't like to believe that.
You meet someone
fake.
and they might say everything right and seem really nice, and then your gut,
You're
you're just
fake.
like,
You got just
I
you
just
gotta
get
check in yours
uneasy.
there.
Yeah, I'm like, is this me? Am I just reading, or is it like, man, why do I feel this way towards them?
right.
And you might not know for a while, but you have that.
Cautious.
It's like, Lord, help me understand why
Very
that
cautious.
is,
I like that.
which comes from that wisdom aspect. Skipping ahead, but
Okay. That was fast. What's number 7?
I come here and we just start going fast.
Yeah, that's usually not the way
That's
it
not the
goes.
case usually.
All the other ones have been very hands-on type gifts. These ones are like, yeah.
Connor, what's number 7?
Faith.
Gee.
Ooh,
yeah.
and what does it say about faith?
The gift of faith is the distinctive ability to believe God with confidence for things unseen, spiritual growth, and the will of God.
And what's the verse that goes with it?
There's a few.
How about one?
Acts 11:22-4.
How about all of Hebrews 11?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yes, here we go.
Wow. I'm not reading that.
Then tidings of these things came unto the ears of the church which was in Jerusalem. And they sent forth Barnabas, that he should go as far as Antioch. Who when he came and had seen the grace of God, was glad, and exhorted them all, that with purpose of heart they would cleave unto the Lord. For he was a good man, and full of the Holy Ghost, and of faith. And much people was added unto the Lord.
Somebody got another verse
Yeah.
that they're proactively looking up?
I have Hebrews 11. Now faith is
Are you gonna read it all?
Just give up, no, give them
11.
verse 1.
just that one.
1 and 6.
Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. So that's it.
And 6 is good too.
And
Yeah, it's
six.
the same thing, yeah, that
Yeah,
Jan said.
now you gotta read 6.
Yep.
My wife says so.
No, Janet did.
Okay. And without faith it is impossible to please him, for whoever would draw near to God must believe that they exist and that he rewards those who seek him.
Got his glasses.
There's,
Faith,
there's lots of guys that they talk about that have that gift.
yeah.
The whole
Faith and
chapter.
fear are kind of almost the same. And believing something is or isn't, it's real close. From,
Or are they opposites?
well, they're opposites, but they, I mean, you,
They play
You
out
have-
They both,
in their ways
yes.
in a similar fashion.
they both deal with what has not yet happened.
Oh,
Yeah, you can be, have faith about what has not yet, or you can have fear of not, you know.
Mhm.
I have Romans 4:18. This is really interesting. Against all hope. Abraham, in hope. He hoped against all hope. Believed, and so became the father of many nations, just as it had been said to him, so shall your offspring be. And you know, I think I tend to think of, okay, first you believe and then you can have hope because you believe, but this verse says Abraham had hope and then believed, which is interesting.
Keep going. To 21.
Is that? Oh, okay. Without weakening in his faith, he faced the fact that his body was as good as dead, since he was about 100 years old, and that Sarah's womb was also dead. Yet he did not waver through unbelief regarding the promise of God, but was strengthened in his faith and gave glory to God, being persuaded that God had power to do what he had promised. That took a lot of faith.
And you waited how many years for it?
Yeah, it wasn't
25.
like, okay,
25 years?
Yeah.
we'll wait a week, Lord.
Yeah.
Give you a week.
Yeah, I give you a month. I know.
Was that it? Was there more?
12:9, 1 Corinthians 12:9. To another, faith by the same Spirit. To another, gifts of healing by that one Spirit.
Just kind of listed.
Okay.
Corinthians.
So, what about faith? Remember, faith, the root word is pistis, P-I-S, P-I-S, and it means belief, trust, or faith. Can be translated every time into either one of those three. So, where do you see that?
I think my faith has increased, and actually that was my third highest, so top three. As I've studied the Old Testament, and you read all these stories that are true, or you try to put yourself in their position, and like Abraham, it's like, whoa, would I have had that much faith? And yet believing that those things have happened in history, for me, has made it easier to believe that God will continue to work and do miracles and do things that we can't imagine. And so it's because we have faith in a great God. It's not that our faith is so great.
Yeah.
But I think the more you study God in the past, the more you can trust him for the future.
That's true.
Right, I think that's a really important point, because I think there's some tendency in some circles to have faith in faith. Yeah, that if I just believe strong enough, have enough faith, that it's my faith that will give me what I am believing for.
What I want.
Yeah, and it's not, so the focus, it's so subtle, it shifts from, the object of your faith to the means. Faith becomes,
And there's a group out there, I don't know if you'd call them a cult, but they are word of faith. And they think, or they will blame people if they don't have enough faith because a certain prayer wasn't answered, or someone died and they were praying for healing. And that is not really the gift of faith. Well, going back to what I said about God being faithful, there's probably quite a few Christians who maybe struggle with believing the Bible and just taking it by faith that these things really happened. I mean, there's people in church, maybe they've heard the stories, but you get a worldview from education or philosophy or someplace else, and that sort of gets those doubts in there that erodes your faith. in the Bible and what God has already said. And so if you don't start with what he's already done and what he's already revealed in the Bible, how are you gonna have faith for anything else?
Well, it's hard to trust him and hope in him.
And Doubting Thomas, I mean, even though his other disciples seen Jesus and he was just so doubting and like the faith or whatever, it's like, didn't he have faith to believe that the people he's been breaking bread with for how many, 2 or 3 years or something? And it's like, yeah, right. Yeah, he came alive. Until I see him for myself. And like the faith is still, some people are just so, till I see it for myself, right? That's, it's
Yeah,
hard
I'm
to
still
believe.
working on the unseen, the things unseen.
So,
I got some insight. We're doing this. Do not be afraid of Bible study, Sarah and I, and we're our first one was Genesis 15:1. And after this, the word of the Lord came to Abraham in a vision. Do not be afraid, Abraham. I am your shield, your very great reward. But Abraham said, Sovereign Lord, what can you give me since I remain childless? And the one who will inherit my estate is Eleazar of Damascus. And Abraham said, you have given me no children, so a servant in my household will be my heir. Then the word of the Lord came to him, this man will not be your heir, but a son who is your own flesh and blood will be your heir. He took him outside and said, look up at the stars and count the stars. If indeed you can count them, then he said to him, so shall be your offspring. And it came to me that, we are the proof of that, because we're the descendants, of the world, So he made that happen. That was just the first one. But it's we're the proof of it.
Yeah,
The proof's in the pudding, right?
yeah, proof's in the pudding, yeah. He believed and here we are.
It's interesting,
That's really cool.
which I think where it gets a little murky with like those word of oh, you don't have enough faith kind of thing. And I see where it comes in. I can see where someone gets there, even though it's misguided. But the aspect of Jesus talking about like the woman with constant bleeding, touching the hem, like go, your faith has healed you.
Yeah.
And then the going to the hometown, he did not do many miracles there because of their lack of faith. Which is just such a interesting, like, Lord, what?
And then he healed the little boy. And his
Yeah.
father didn't have
Yeah,
faith.
help,
He says, but
like-
help my unbelief.
Yeah, help my unbelief.
Yeah.
And it's, in the parable of, well, no, not the parable, but when Jesus says, if you have
Faith like a mustard seed?
just faith like
Yeah,
a mustard
right?
seed, yeah,
The
and you can
tiniest,
say,
ittiest,
this
bittiest.
mountain to move, and so in that sense, even just a little faith is powerful.
imagine a pumpkin seed.
Or a watermelon seed.
I know.
I heard that the mustard seed, I read it, whatever, they say faith like a mustard seed, they don't mean like size of the mustard seed, they mean like how a mustard seed can grow in any type of atmosphere. You throw it on concrete, it's gonna be able to grow, cause it's gonna find that little bit of water and whatever. And so like, they don't mean the size of the mustard seed, but they mean like how it grows and how it just doesn't stop, basically.
Yeah.
Mark 4 does say, like, it is like a mustard seed, this is Jesus, which is the smallest of all the seeds on the earth. Yet when planted, it grows and becomes the largest of all garden plants.
Yeah.
It becomes a huge tree.
And has many, many seeds that come from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is really, it's quite the image.
So I've always struggled with the, how do you increase your faith? I didn't get healed because I didn't have enough faith. Well, what's that mean, and how do I increase my faith? It's like you've got 30% faith today and 40% faith tomorrow. I mean,
You gotta work.
how is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, understanding the definitions, either you trust or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
I see it, I don't see degrees.
Yeah.
I see either you do or you don't. And then it's, in my interpretation, you can trust for small things. And as that trust gets confirmed, you can trust for more and more and more and more. George Mueller,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so most of you youngins don't know who George Mueller is. He's 17th, late 17th, early 18th century.
Mm-hmm.
He started an orphanage, never asked for a penny, only prayed. And he started out with a few kids, and by the time he died, there was like 5,000 orphans. It was,
Yeah.
is in thousands.
Multiple orphanages.
Yeah.
And orphanages all over. Now, at some point,
And almost like 500,000 in today's dollars went through his hands just by prayer.
yeah.
Or
so-
sorry, not 500,000.
Uh,
500, almost 500 million.
500 million.
Yeah.
So it's worth getting you'd have to order it from eBay or something because the books are out of print, way out of print, way
You can,
way out
yeah,
of
there's
print.
PDFs that you can download.
But yeah, well that's kind
It's on my phone. That's how I read it.
Yeah,
But he started out feeding 3 or 4 or 5,
Yep.
and again ended up with thousands. So I don't know if you can. I guess that might qualify as having more faith.
Is it
Right.
more faith or is
Yeah.
it more you trust God? I mean, because just like what Janet said, I know what you're saying, there's this little itty bitty in between, but God, these are your children and I know you're gonna take care of them.
I'd say it's faith growing.
Which, we said faith, trust, belief, all.
In God,
Yeah, those are the
not
three
in
words
whatever's
Right.
gonna happen,
They
but God's gonna
translate,
do it.
Yeah, it's the trust.
Doesn't
And
it?
again, this
Which-
doesn't translate.
But even
well
then, you
into
still
the
have
English.
the Apostle Paul thrown in the side. Like I'm pretty sure Paul had enough faith to believe in Jesus.
To get rid
God
of
could
it.
heal something.
But
And then
maybe
he
that's
didn't get
where
healed, yeah.
discernment comes in.
Yeah.
Discerning, is this your will?
Yeah. Yep.
Because even when Peter and John healed the lame man, they had probably walked by him 100 times. He was right in a main gate. But this time, Peter heard God's voice or sensed that now is the time for this man to be saved.
And the man had no faith.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he had to discern if what he was hearing was truly from the Lord, because if you're praying against God's will, or he said no, and you keep praying in faith that he will change his mind, I don't think it works that way. I mean, the discernment comes in, is this God's will now?
But Jacob wrestled God until he gave Jacob it.
That's
I think
true.
you can. I think you can.
And what about this
I
discipleship?
don't know what the cost is, but I think you could. I mean, I don't know what
There's
the.
certainly an
there's a cost,
interesting.
If it's in his will.
Yeah, there's an interesting interplay of cosmic, eternal,
Yeah.
all-knowing, all-powerful God with finite man, and yet, we can maybe we can wrestle him, and or say, Lord, if there's 50, if there's 40 people, if there's 30, it's like,
There's times
like Lord,
I'll
did you
do
just
this.
know and that he was gonna say that, and you were just going along with it, or was there some aspect of like, hey, there's room in here for something else, kind of thing.
Well,
if
then
you would
there's
ask.
his permissive will too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's sovereign and he has a will that no one can thwart,
Mm-hmm.
and we should pray in alignment with him.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's something in his word that we can believe,
How many of the faithfuls, how many of the people that were following Jesus, like, Jesus, I have faith that you can do it. And then how long did it take for some of them to kind of like, well, and they're like, oh, I guess I could do that. You're going to send me out, and I guess I have enough faith now that I can do it. So, I don't know, different believabilities, hang around and see enough, and then faith, more
And I
faith.
don't-
maybe?
but seeing
I don't
is not always believing. A lot of people saw Jesus' miracles
true. I mean,
and
they
they
just-
still
Yeah.
resisted him in their
Right,
heart.
'cause, yeah, blessed are those who hear these things and have never seen and yet believe. Jesus tells them.
That's true.
And
Like getting pulled over with a beer in his hand and still escaping somehow and not having any issues.
I've done this before. I got
He
a lot of
still
faith.
doesn't
I won't
believe.
get.
it, yeah,
Oh,
there's.
I believe it's
It's-
stupid.
I have faith that he's. Yeah,
God's
there's such,
mercies are everlasting.
yeah,
Amen.
it's such an
Mercy
interesting
trains.
thing because
Russian roulette.
obviously faith grows also in the trials, in the stretching, in the wilderness. Sometimes it's the aspect of you have obviously you do not ask, you do not because you do not have because you do not ask.
Or you have the wrong motives.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes it can be wrong motives, is it? And sometimes it's even like, again, we get back to dependency, contentment. Like, can we be content with God's presence and not His gifts? But I don't know. I think it's a very mysterious
Yeah, it is.
interplay of. Sometimes it's this, and sometimes it's, you know what, like, my grace is enough.
How is faith, the gift of faith, related to faithfulness? That's a fruit of the Spirit.
Faithfulness has to do with your relationship with God. And it seems that that's the connection that Jesus makes in John 15, when he says, unless you abide in me, you will have no fruit. And he ends that teaching with, ask whatever you will. That if you have a sense that what you are seeking and asking for is what God has told you to ask for, and that, or God has promised. Abraham had faith not because simply he wanted a child that bad. He had faith because God had told him he would give him a child.
And God had proved his faithfulness. And our faith is in him who is completely faithful.
So, I had the opportunity to teach in Togo, and the founder of that school, the school was only like 4 years old, and 4 years earlier, the pastor who had the vision for that school and established that school was planning a church.
He's a George Mueller. He's a man of faith and prayer.
Saw a field and sensed in his spirit that God wanted him to have that field for a school. And started praying, and within weeks got a phone call, somebody saying, God has laid me on your heart, what do you need? And bought the property.
Yeah. I've heard that
Lots
story.
of stories like that.
I heard that story from a farmer, Mr. Caps. I can't remember his first name, but he prayed about this building expanding on the corner, and it was never coming up for sale. And then he came up for sale and he turned it down or something, but it came back around where it just fell in his lap and it was just such a good deal and it just happened.
Well, isn't that
That's
what
so
happened at LCC?
Say it
Didn't
again.
Lakeview, wasn't there some weird thing that happened with that building? If I remember right, with a store?
Yeah, the building was like way above what they could afford, and eventually the lady got to a point where she just wanted to sell and retire, and it was like $500,000 less than prior, and was something that they could actually do, and so they got it for a little
Much
cheap,
less. Yeah.
something along those lines.
So,
But,
you know, I
Pretty good.
just personally, if I feel like God has just given me a word that he's going to heal somebody, that does tremendous things for my faith in praying for healing.
Mm-hmm.
You
If
know,
God's, yeah.
rather
God's,
than, any sick person, I want God to heal.
Yeah.
But if God has said, I'm going to heal this,
mm,
Mm-hmm.
I pray with a lot more authority and boldness.
Yeah, trust, that's true.
I even think too, again, obviously in alignment with God's will, but if sometimes God resists or delays to test the faith, because you have the example of the Syrophoenician woman in Mark 7, where she's begging Jesus to drive out a demon from her daughter. He's like, first let the children eat all they want, for it is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, oh, I think if I received that, I'd be like, all right, Lord, this is a great day, see you later. But she goes, Lord, even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs. And then he said, for such a reply, you may go, the demon has left your daughter. And it's like, he didn't say, yeah, sure. It was like, there was a little resistance into to doing it. But yet she was still, like, she begs, she pleads, and he's moved with compassion to go. It's a good
And
answer.
2 times that Jesus commends people for their faith, that's one of them. And the other is the centurion for his servant,
Mhm.
and both of them are Gentiles.
Yeah.
And they were not necessarily,
It's not his
People
ministry
of
that he
faith
was going
kind of,
to
that we
either.
would
Like,
think of.
His centurion.
And-
used
I
for
mean,
example.
with the disciples, he often said, oh, you of little faith.
Mm-hmm.
Because you should know better, you should
Yeah.
have more faith. But
Yeah.
these 2 outsiders, these foreigners,
Yeah.
look at the faith that they had.
I heard one time, just like going on the parable that Jesus gave of ask, seek, and knock, of again, it's that persistence in prayer, persistence in faith, of sometimes we need to get like bloodied knuckles in prayer, because we just go knock, knock, nothing, all right, like
Yeah.
I'm
Give
done.
up. Late night.
Yep, and it's like, no, have you gone to the door over and over? Because it eventually says he'll come just out of like, not because you're friends, but just because of like
Persistence.
your persistence. And so I think there's sometimes there's a journey in the ask to test, like, do you trust me actually? Like, do you want to see, like, do you, because in that it gets us more dependent. Because I feel like if I just, it almost, or it does, challenge the genie mentality we could fall into. Of like, oh, I say this, Lord, and you do it. Great. Versus like, oh, Lord, like, you're my all in all. Like, I need you desperately to do something. Like, let me pour out my heart. Because it's in those times where it's actually a gift to be with the Lord and just call out.
And it comes back to what Shireen often says, and that's surrender.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Oswald Chambers, but I could be wrong, where you're praying, Lord, if you do this, I'll be happy. If you don't, that's fine too, you know, and it's like you surrender your will in even what you want the
Mhm.
outcome of the prayer to be.
Mm-hmm.
Charles de Foucault.
Charles.
Prayer on
And sometimes the Lord's funny in that stuff because that's kind of my experience with Annalise and I first talking. I'm like, Lord, if I can see qualities, that would be like an awesome, like, possible partner. But if not, Lord, like, may she be an awesome sister in Christ. And Annalise was not in a stage of life for that. She was just like, Lord, I don't have time for this. Get him out of my life. He's not meant to be. And I was still around, and it, obviously it turned out really well. But, like, I was coming from, like, oh, Lord, like, whatever you want here, like, may it be great. And she was like, literally remove him. Like, if it's not meant to be.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
So I'm very thankful for the book of Job. We get insights out of the book of Job that unless that book was written, we would never have. And yet, for Job, it was definitely not a picnic. Right? So, you know, we get in chapters 1 and 2, this view of heaven where Satan asks permission to beat Job up.
Like,
Couple
you
times.
think this guy is so great? Let's see.
Yeah.
We stir the pot.
And the key to that exchange is that Job was the most righteous man of his generation. And
Definitely strong in his faith.
when we see people going through it, my first thought goes to Job. Because our brain many times goes to, well, he must have sinned pretty well to go through that, and to have to go through that, right?
Who said?
And,
who's
yeah,
that?
send
Right,
him
that's
and his mother,
Yeah,
or
right.
his
that's-
family,
that's
or,
like,
you know,
yep, it's a show.
but that's
Grace.
automatically where we go, and Job blows that completely out of the water. But we get to the end of the book, and Job learns humility, because he was fairly arrogant through this thing.
38:3 is brace yourself like a man. I will question you, and you shall answer me. The Lord's talking to him.
Right. So, wow.
Yeah.
Job learns some humility. His friends learn a lesson, but they come out of the end of that book and they still don't know why it happened. Okay? So here we are. They think that was the first biblical book ever written. So it's at least 5,000 years old, give or take, round numbers. And how I'm tying this into faith, that's taken me a minute, but if that book wasn't written, we wouldn't know what we know now. Him going through it was necessary for us to have that information. And we often don't know why things are happening. And I can imagine Job saying this, well, he does. He actually does say this in so many words. Why is this happening? Well, what happened to him was for us, so that we would learn stuff. Now again, not pleasant for him, for us to get the benefit 5,000 years later, but that's faith, because we have the whole scripture now. What we should keep in mind is something that's happening to us that we don't get, or people around us, we don't know who it's going to affect when, how far down the line. So we have again, it boils back to, or it folds back to Romans 8:28. All things work together for good. That's a promise that we have to have faith in.
When we
Might
don't
not happen
understand.
in our lifetime.
Yeah,
Right. I mean, there's prayers that were answered that went into the future even of, oh, this has been prayed for and brought into because the saints have been praying. But these people never saw it happen. Never got to be a part of the answered prayer.
Hebrews 11 is full of those.
Yeah.
yeah, Hebrews 11, that's,
Yes.
Faith, 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 faith.
Mhm.
How long has it been since I've known you? I'm trying to remember when you guys came here.
It's been,
Like February, March of last
yeah.
year?
Last year?
Yeah, yep, so
so
it's
it's
been a
more than a
year.
year?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's been a little more than
How
a year,
time
yeah.
flies.
Yeah, how that, you know, and I think about that just because of my age, you know, now that you start thinking 70 and I know all this stuff. You go like, but the perspective of, you know, a year is so short to me now. And the incredible things I have seen God do since Desiree and Dunny walked through the doors here and brought you. Brought you. I would not have believed that a year ago by then. I brought you, brought Aaron, when I, you know, and I'm just thinking, that's just one family we can look at that we can see, just because we're asking the one we trust, because he has love for everyone.
Well, and when you're praying for someone's salvation, that is always in God's
Yeah,
will.
and I
Maybe
know,
not the timing,
Yeah,
but, or
yeah.
the means.
or the means, and we also know that each person has their own free will,
Yes.
you know, and so we know the spiritual battle goes on too. So we continue praying in those areas.
It makes me think about worry being the opposite maybe of faith at times. Because Psalm 37:8 talks about do not fret, it leads only to evil. And I'm thinking like the extent of our worry should literally be like, Lord, this is on my heart. I bring it to you. And I'll just keep bringing it back to you every time it starts to well up. And it's like, that should be it. Because otherwise it just leads to evil. Because it talks about do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out wicked schemes. Like, it's not just like, oh, like, I'm worried about if I'm going to have a good day. Like, this is like, no, there's wicked people doing stuff. And it's like, no, like, refrain from anger, turn from wrath, do not fret, it leads only to evil. It's like, do I have the faith God has this in hand? And I'll just keep bringing it to him over and over.
Maybe even confessing, Lord, I'm afraid again, or Lord,
Yeah.
I'm fretting, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it with you again.
Yeah. Help me in my unbelief. Going back to the Father.
Capture every thought.
Yeah. Because it's the thought. It's interesting. For me, it isn't always the thought that's the most powerful. It's the emotion that's connected to the thought.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, I can't say no to myself when under certain temptations. Oh, I hate saying no to myself, you know. Or the fact that something can come out of my mouth quicker than I can even stop it. Or at least it comes from my eyes, you know. Because I don't say it all the time.
And then you deny that it's coming out of your eye.
It's on video now.
Yeah. But it's just incredible. But it is the constant humility of what we've been saying of surrendering. I can't do anything about this, but I can trust you.